I got given these 3 PlayStation 4s which were found on the bins by a friend of mine, and I got told to just give him 1 working in return, which means I'm working for free right now, technically. You probably don't give a damn about what I've got to say, but just hear me out for a minute, alright? We all know that those sweaty little douchebags with cheesy fingers, living in the mom's basement, drinking Red Bull and simping over TikTok losers are gonna break the console. And you and I both know that you're too cheap to buy off eBay, you're too impatient to wait for AliExpress, and you're just about smart enough to avoid Amazon completely. You can admit it, because I'm exactly the same. That's why I started my online store, consolefix.shop. I'll sell every part you'll need to fix the Xbox One, Series S, Series X, PS4, PS5 and Nintendo Switch consoles. So why not give me the money instead of some random dude on eBay? At least if I have it, you know it's not going to waste on some stupid thing like promoted eBay listings or food for the kids or something. If you give me your money instead, I'll promise I'll use it on useful things, like buying views on TikTok. So before you decide to go to one of the more popular sites and line the pockets of some fat cat loser, take a look at my online store. Check out the link in the video description or the top pinned comment and get 10% off any order over £25 during checkout. Alright, now you can go back to watching this douchebag on YouTube trying to fix something.
You can't say stuff like that in an advert, dude.
You're not my dad, dude. Don't tell me what to do.
That's what you think, Phil.
Wait, what? Mom? I don't know what's wrong with any of these, but I've basically said to him, look, I can get them working and I'll get one of the original PlayStations working and then keep 1 original and 1 slim for myself, and then I can sell those on and make some money that way. He's fully aware that I'm only going to be getting the lower value one fixed because, let's face it, these are not really worth all of that much these days anyway, and I obviously need to try and maximise profits. I've got to sit on these while I wait for them to sell, which means I'm working right now technically for free. But with that being said, my name's Hakko, I'm an electronics technician. I mainly work on games consoles, but I do work on other stuff as well. So if that's the sort of stuff you enjoy, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so that you don't miss any future videos. If you need to organise a repair, you can do that on my website. You can get in touch with me at thecody.repair. And if you need any parts and supplies for PlayStation 4s, PlayStation 5s, Xboxes, all the rest of it, then be sure to check out my online store, consolefix.shop. And yeah, let's get into it, I suppose. Right, so let's just pop these. Well, I'm going to pop some gloves on because these are filthy, to be honest. So I actually know where these come from. This friend of mine works for Walsall Council on the bins. So, yep, all of that stuff that you've been hearing in the news about the bin collections in Birmingham, that's not me. I don't live in Birmingham. I'm not a brummie. I'm a yam-yam. Well, I'm not anything, I'm just me, alright? But he works as a bin lorry driver and he picked these up on his rounds. So these have been thrown out, he's just been collecting them over time, which is why he doesn't mind giving me that, the PS4 Slim, and one of the other ones, as long as he gets 1 working for his kids. So that's what we're going to be doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try, well, I'm going to power them on and just see what's going on with them. We'll start with this one here because this one is the dirtiest, so why not? Yeah, let's just plug this in, see what's going on with it. Okay, it's turning on. No free disc. Damn it. Let's have a look on the screen, see what's happening. Okay, checking system storage status. Interesting. Let's have a look. Let it run through the system check. It means that it hasn't been turned on properly and we get safe mode. Okay, cool. Right, so I'm going to plug my test controller in. Wow. You've got to be absolutely kidding me. Well, there is absolutely no way this one is going to him. Holy crap. That has not been turned on in a while. Okay, 3.11. Holy crap. Alright, so that one looks like it needs a operating system reinstall. and maybe a hard drive. I don't know. We'll have a look. I'll have to take the hard drive out and hook it up to the computer. But wow, 3.11. That is insane. All right, that's console number 1. Wow. All right. So I'm just going to get this hard drive out of here, and I'm going to plug it into the PC. I am super excited for this. That's crazy. Holy crap. I am genuinely gobsmacked. So we've got a 500 gigabyte hard drive. That's normal. Seriously, I am genuinely gobsmacked at that. I don't know what to say. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm really excited to try and get this one working. That hard drive's dead. It's not even spinning. Yeah, it's not even spinning. Alright, I'm going to try it on another external caddy. So I've got this Ugreen USB 2 SATA here, and I've also got a external caddy over on the computer. Holy hell, how on earth have I come across this? This one 100% is not going back to my friend. I'm going to be honest right now. There is no way I am updating this to the latest firmware. Not a chance in hell. Alright, let's hook this up to the PC. Oh, okay. It's working. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Look at how young this thing is. So it's been powered on 712 hours and 511 runs. Wow, this has barely seen any use at all. I bet it's still mint inside. That's insane. So we don't need to replace the hard drive, we just need to get firmware version 3.11 onto here. So I'll show you how to do that. So if we go to Firefox, we go to darksoftware.xyz. I'm going to log in. There we go. And I'm going to go to firmwares, firmware list, and retail firmware, no, sorry, recovery firmware 3.11. Download that. There we go. So that's downloading. Servers are a little bit slow on Dark Software, but it does work. But while we wait for that, I've just plugged in a USB, and I'm going to format this using exFAT, name that PS4. And then I'm going to go into that folder, create a folder called PS4, and then a folder inside that folder called update. And then that is ready for when this has downloaded. So I'm going to leave that running. It's going to take a little while because, well, servers are slow. It's only downloading at 1.2 megasecond. That's not my internet, or at least I don't think it's my internet. Let's have a look. No, it's not my internet. All right. So that's running. But once that's done, once that's downloaded, I'm going to basically rename this to PS4 update.pup in all capitals. And then I'm going to copy that over to the update folder on the USB, and that will allow me to update it. But for now, I'm going to pop it back inside the caddy, and there we go. Oh wow, it still has the warranty stickers as well. Oh my god, that is insane. Yeah, call me crazy, but there's no way this console is going back. The only reason that that's going to be the case is because there is no way on earth that this person is going to keep this on firmware 3, and this is so rare that I can't in good conscience let this go like that, but just to be updated as soon as it gets back to him, because it's going to ruin it. You know, it's not going to, yeah, I just can't, no. Sue me, sorry. Alright, while we're waiting for that, let's just see what's wrong with this one. So I don't know how long he's been collecting these for. This one has been opened. So what's going on with this one? Okay, the disk drive button doesn't work. Whether the disk drive itself works, I don't know. Not by the look of it. It looks like it's... Oh, hold on. Yeah, it does detect a disk with the sensor. It goes to a white light, as you'll see. PlayStation logo, okay. It's hanging. Oh. Hold up. It is lagging. It shouldn't take this long to boot up. So it looks like this one's got either corrupted firmware or it needs a complete reinstall, because it's just basically hanging on a blue light now. It's not completing the boot process, which means likely a faulty hard drive. Very likely. So if you look here, it's just pulsing blue, and a lot of the people would interpret that as a lung pulsing blood, but it's not the case. That is not the case with this one. If we look here, we have a blank screen on the display, and we did get the PlayStation logo, which normally indicates a bad hard drive. Let's press and hold the power button here, force it into safe mode. There we are. Okay, so we have safe mode, and I'm going to go reinstall software. 5.5. I love it. I love it. That's beautiful. Simply beautiful. Another exploitable firmware. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. Okay, my U-green. This U-green thing is playing up. It's not allowing me to power these hard drives. Don't know what the deal is with that. Not really bothered at the minute. Okay, it's just detected on the PC. Go to the desktop here. That's still downloading. It's taking a while. So I'm going to rescan. Let's see what it says. Taking a while. Yeah. Faulty drive. Okay, so that needs a hard drive. This one does. So what I'm going to need to do then is download 5.5 as well, because I'm going to need that. So we'll download that. But that needs a hard drive. Alright, so it's pointless putting that hard drive back in. I might as well just leave that to one side. I'll leave this with the hard drive out, and then that way I'll know it needs a hard drive. So there's that one. Then we're going to go on to this final one here, which is the PS4 Slim. Oh, 3 disc. Nice. Sims 4, not bad. I'll take that. It's a bit scratched up. In fact, that ain't never going to work, surely. Yeah, a bit screwed. Never mind. Alright. That sucks. Stuck in safe mode. 10.01. Okay. Well, yep, that one's got 10.01, so that one has been powered on recently. But again, it's stuck in safe mode, so let's try and get that out of safe mode, see if it boots up. Okay, so checking system storage status. And yeah, looks like we're going to have another dead hard drive here. Let's check that one. So I don't know where these have come from or when they've been picked up. I have no clue. All I know is that my friend works on the bins and he's picked them up at some point. This one has never been opened. But let's just pop the hard drive out of this. This one's very dirty. They're all going to need a service. That one's a 500 gig as well. Go back to Crystal Disk. And let's rescan it. Yeah, that one's got a bad drive as well. So, okay, cool. Well, we've got 2 that need a new drive and 1 that just needs to be reinstalled by the look of it. So we need 10.01 as well as the firmware. This one's almost downloaded. Once that's downloaded, it does look like it's their servers. So once that one's downloaded, I will go ahead and just download the other 2, and then while I'm doing this one, these 2 will download, right? So let's just speed this up. I might be able to resume that, I don't know. No, it failed it, but I can always redo it. Alright, never mind. Okay, that one's done. So I'm going to drag this into the update folder. And then these 2 are just going to download. Okay, so that one's done. So I'm going to go rename PS4 update.pup, and that is ready to go for the earlier firmware. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to get this one done while I wait for the other 2 to download. I'll plug that one back into the bottom one there. I'm going to move these 2 off the bench. I'm going to plug in my USB as well. Might struggle with that. I might have to plug in an extension if it doesn't pick it up. Okay, so let's let this run through. Okay, so it's running through the system storage check, and then it's obviously going to fail again, which is fine. Yep, can't start. And okay, so connect up 3.11. We've got that. PS4 will be initialized, so it is in there far enough to recognize it. Cool. So I'm going to run through this. It's going to format everything. It's going to completely blank it and put it back to how it was. And hopefully we should have a fully working 3.11 version. But this is insane on how little use this has seen since it was released in, I don't know, 2013 or something like that. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'll bet this is in absolutely pristine condition inside as well. Obviously it's going to need fresh thermal paste, but I bet this is in pretty much pristine condition, and there is no way on earth this is getting updated at all. Okay, that's just run through the update. So it's just going to reboot now. I need to give it a minute or so because otherwise the monitor won't pick it up. But it's just run through the update. It should be on the last process. We should pick it up now. I just have to give it a minute or so just to make sure. There we go. There's the PlayStation logo. It syncs a controller. It stays synced when I unplug it. And there's the Sony logo. Beautiful. Wow, that's old. That's just simply beautiful. Hell no, I'm not connecting to the internet. Actually, let's go back. Let's just make sure it does actually pick up a Wi-Fi connection. I'm not going to connect to the internet, don't worry. But let's just make sure it picks up a Wi-Fi connection. Yes, it does. Beautiful. Yeah, we have no time because the battery is going to be dead. Oh, so it is going to need... Yeah, it's going to need opening up. Okay, fair enough. It's going to need opening up because I'm going to need to replace the CMOS battery, so I may as well give it a service and stuff at the same time. And... yeah, at least then it will run smoothly, right? And there we go. That is beautiful. Alright, and I've just enabled audio as well, so I've got it pretty quiet, but you should be hearing the beautiful sounds of 3.1. But let's just go to System, Information, and there we go. Absolutely sexy. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Let's shut it down. And it sounds silent as well. There we go. Beautiful. One down, two to go. Okay, time to transfer the next file over. So it's going to be the 5.55 one next. So the other fat one. Onto the desktop we go. We've already got the folder here. So we can just delete this one. And we'll copy over the 555. While that's doing, let's just get rid of this one. So I'm going to give these all a good service. But let's bring this one back into play. So this one's got a couple of issues with it, which I'm going to need to sort out. But I'm going to sort out the hard drive issue first. So I'll pop that case off there. I've got a 1 terabyte drive. And if you can hear rain outside, it's just decided to pelt it down. So I apologise for that. I can fix electronics, but I can't fix the weather. So I'm not sure if it's even coming across on the mic, to be honest. Alright, so there's that hard drive. There we go. Power that on. Back to the desktop. Rename that file, and we're done. Plug this in here. There we are. Okay, we're in safe mode because I did force it into safe mode before I shut it down. We're going to initialize the PS4. I've actually I've made a bit of a boo-boo here. I've put 5.55 on there instead of 5.5, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's still an exploitable firmware, and you know, 0.5 of a firmware isn't going to make any difference. Okay, PS4 will be initialized. So we're going to find out in a second if the disk drive is actually working in this, and if it's just a case issue or not, because I did offer up a disk and it did try and fetch the disk in. Well, I actually used my tweezers, and it does make, yeah, it does make the noise like it wants to put a disk in, but I haven't actually tried it. Let's just pop a disk in there. Okay, it needs rollers as well. Look, it's not taking the disk in, so yeah, we'll sort that out. in a minute. So there's a few things we're going to have to sort out on this then. First and foremost is obviously the hard drive. Okay, it's running the software update. There we go. So I'm going to let that run through, and when it's completed, I'll give everything a test. Well, I'll just make sure it works, make sure it boots up into the system, into the dashboard, and then obviously I'll move on to the next one, replace the hard drive on that, and then all three are going to need to get serviced, and the minor issues are going to need to get dealt with. Alright, so this is just running through the system update storage, updating system storage now. It's pretty much done. There we go. Beautiful. That's working. So I'm going to run through this setup real quick, and then I'll turn HDCP off and then connect it up to the PC. Make sure it picks up Wi-Fi. It does. Not going to connect it to the Wi-Fi because I don't want it to update. This one's still got the time, 21st of the 4th. That's actually correct, except for the time. So it says it's 7:36 p.m. and it's not. It's 5:08 p.m. So yeah, there we go. Okay. So other than the time, this one's working fine. HDCP disabled, and there we go. Beautiful. Yep, that works. So I can't put a disc in because it won't take one, but I'll try that later on. I'll just show you this. So settings, system information, and yep, 5.55. Awesome. Excellent. There is number 2 done, apart from the minor issues and servicing. So I'm going to shut this down and wait for it to fully shut down. Okay, fan's just gone off, which means it's just going through the last stage. There we go. And done. Number 2 in the books. So number 3 is going to be the PS4 Slim. So we need to sort that out. So I've got a replacement drive here. This is a 500 gig. I'm just grabbing random drives. Just, it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't make a difference what I put in which console. One thing I do need to do is just connect this up to the PC and recopy the latest firmware for this one. Plug that drive in. There we are. And then I'm just going to drag that over, replace that file because this is the 10.1 version. So I don't even need to delete that one. I can just replace it, and that's absolutely fine. But while that's copying over, I'm just going to get this fully screwed back in, and I'll probably give him the PS4 Slim back just because the other two, well, actually this one's on an exploitable firmware as well. I think 10.1 is exploitable. I could be wrong there. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I don't really know a lot about exploitable firmwares. I'm going to be honest. I don't really pay that much attention. But this one is on 10.1, so I'll probably give him this one, unless I've got one, you know, a PS4 Pro lying around or something. Okay, let's just copy the update file just in time. Beautiful. 10.01, so press OK there. Okay, let's let this one run through, and we'll make sure it all works afterwards. I can't believe all 3 of these just had software or hard drive issues. So 2 have obviously had a faulty hard drive, but one's got a software issue. I mean, the other one of these, like this PS4 here, this one does need to be serviced properly with the disk drive as well. So I'm going to need to replace the rollers in that. But other than that, it's fine. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay, this one should be done. Yep, there we go. Make sure Wi-Fi works. I've just checked as well, firmware 10.1 is exploitable, so awesome. It does pick up Wi-Fi, excellent. It holds the time, 17:55. Half an hour out, but whatever. There we go. Okay, there we go. Beautiful. Right, let's see if this one accepts a disk. Oh, the disk came from this one. Awesome. I'm going to turn off HDCP while I'm waiting for that disk to load up. Okay, so system info 10.01. Excellent. Okay, so that's all working, and it does read a disk. Whether or not this Sims 4 game will work, I don't know, but it does read a disk, and it does seem to work absolutely fine. So happy days on that one. Okay, there we go. Beautiful. Okay, so we need to get all of these sorted out, and I'm going to start off with the 3.11 PS4. So like I said, with this one, I didn't really want to open it, but at the same time, you know, I'd rather open it up so as I can replace the battery on it and give it a full service, knowing that it'll be running nice and smooth once I'm finished. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got my hot air set at 150 degrees Celsius here. It might be 160, I don't know. Yeah, 160. Alright, so 160 degrees just to remove these stickers, just so as I can remove them without damage, or with as little damage as I can, just so I can reuse them. So there's 1, 2, not that it matters, I could replace those stickers. 3, 4. There we go. So that's the stickers removed. Okay, so there's the 4 case screws, and just look at that. Look at how old this is, and then look at the condition that is like inside. That is someone who has looked after their console. I really am impressed. Pop the power supply out. Drive ribbons. Now I'm going to strip this down fully and give it a full service. I'll check the condition of the rollers, and if they need replacing, they'll get replaced. But yeah, I'll probably fast forward through most of this until I start doing important things. But for the most part, I'll just fast forward through the disassembly process. Alright, thermal pads are in absolutely fantastic condition there. Awesome. SAB001, so this is the second revision PS4. And the thermal paste was actually in reasonable condition. Not bad. It's going to get replaced anyway, obviously. But the main reason I wanted to remove this motherboard was so as I could replace that CR2032. So if we just check the voltage on this, if we switch over to this screen here, you'll see my multimeter just here. And if we just check the voltage on this CR2032, it's absolutely stone dead. So 0.06 volts on that CR2032. So this is basically the CMOS battery. It's what stores the date and time, right? And on earlier versions of the PS4, if the date and time isn't set correctly, then what's going to happen is it's going to refuse to boot a game. That was a bug that was, I think it was rectified in around about version 6 or version 7, right? And basically, any version earlier than that, the battery needs to be in good working order in order for the time and date to be set, especially if you're using it as an exploitable console. And it'll obviously cause problems if it's not. So we have to take this apart and replace that battery, just so as it'll play the games as it should. So I've got a replacement battery here. Yes, I could buy these new, but I've taken that from a PlayStation 5. It's the same battery. It really does not matter about, you know, putting a new battery in there, as long as I put one in there that works. So I'll just replace that like so. And then if we check the voltage on this once again, 3.03, so that's absolutely fine. Perfect, and that is good to go. So if we just pop that to one side, I'm going to remove the rest of this heatsink and stuff, so as I can get to the heatsink underneath and also get to the fan. So we've got a screw there, screw there, screw there, and then we can pop that off there like so. We've got the antenna stuck to that, but that's fine. And yeah, so you can see that this has been outside. It's pretty rusty. Unfortunately, I don't think I have any replacement plates at the minute, but it's absolutely fine as it is. You know, this is that little bit of rust and stuff. I'll brush it off, but it's not going to hurt anything, right? But there we go, that's that. So I've hoovered that out. But yeah, I can see some signs that it was starting to corrode a little bit on the heatsink. So we've got some white stuff here that's not going to come off. And, you know, there's not really a lot I can do about that. I can replace the heatsink, but like I said, it's not going to hurt the console, so I don't really think it's necessary to do that. But other than that, this is in really good condition, you know, apart from this plate. One thing you've got to be mindful of, especially when you're, for example, brushing out the console on these, and one thing people do quite a lot, is they'll clean out the console, and then while they're brushing it, they'll brush that way, or they'll use, you know, like a mini handheld hoover that way. And these prongs here will end up bending up like this. And the problem with that is it causes the plate on this plate here to short out on one of the components. And usually it's a 12 volt short because of it. And that causes a beep on beep off. It causes a 2-second blue light of death when you go to turn the console back on. All of this is grounded, which is what we've got here. We've got this ground shield here. This is actually for EMI shielding, but it's also so as everything can share the same ground. So this plate shares the same ground, this shares the same ground, the board shares the same ground. You know, it just transfers it so as it's all connected as one when it's all screwed down together and stuff, right? And like I said, this being connected to ground, it shorts out on some of these components around the south bridge and causes a 12 volt short, and that causes a 2-second blue light of death. So what you have to do is you have to be mindful of these springs here, and just make sure that these are all pressed back down before you put all of this back together, just to make sure that you're not going to run into that issue. But yeah, you can see some of this corrosion and stuff which has fell off. I'm going to hoover all of this out, don't worry, it's fine. So I'm going to get this fan out, and then we'll pop the fan out, and as you can see, it's in basically pristine condition. This has barely seen any use. Alright, so I'll just hand finish this. So I'll just give it a good brush out, make sure there's no dust left in it. Get inside all of the nooks and crannies and all of that. And also, don't forget to do the sides where the vents are. So I'll just do both sides there, and then the same for this side, and then we'll flip this around and we'll do this side as well. Just give this the old hand finish. Just make sure that we get inside all of the little gaps, and just make sure that it's all nice and clean, because we want to keep this in as good condition as we possibly can so as to reduce any risk of damage going forward, or just reduce the issues going forward, right? So we don't want it to overheat, we don't want it to end up collecting dust, and if there's even a little bit of dust in there, that's somewhere for new dust to cling onto. So just clean it out properly, and there we go. So that's that. Let's pop this back on here. Like I said, doesn't matter about these bits of rust, it's fine, it's not going to hurt the console, and we've brushed off any loose stuff anyway. But I don't have a replacement heatsink for this. There we are. So that's that. And next I'm just going to clean off the heatsink itself. Get rid of that thermal paste. There we are. And then I'm going to get rid of this thermal paste here. But like I said, this was actually fine. It would have been okay if it wasn't for the fact that the battery was obviously completely dead. We're just going to clean up here. There we are. That's all ready to go. We're going to put some fresh MX4 paste on here. Nice little pea size in the middle. Just like that. And then I'm going to start to reassemble. And there we are. Beautiful. So that's all done. Just going to brush this out. Same with this one. Pop that on there. And then I can get to working on this side. There we are. And then before I continue, I'm just going to inspect the condition. Oh wow, that's they're absolutely mint. Look, check that out. Yeah, that doesn't even need opening. Okay, I can just go ahead and just get all this back together then, I guess. And in theory, this disk drive should work. Antenna back in. That ribbon, and it's important to press this metal clip as well, because you will damage that connector otherwise. So just press that clip to make sure that it all goes in properly. And I actually need to route this cable first. Alright, that cable can be a little bit awkward to route. You might have to take this plate off sometimes. We're just going to make sure that we route everything properly as it should be. So I'll tuck that under there, pop that one in there, and we're good to go. Alright, so, whoops. So now that's done, I can plug this back in, press that retention clip, press that retention clip. Good, awesome. And that one, and then I've just got these 4 case screws to put in, and then I'm just going to brush this out. Just be careful of this metal sensor here, that's for the capacitive touch for the disk drive, so just be careful with that, don't want to end up damaging that. There we are. Heat up that sticker again, pop that one over there, that one there, that one there, and that one there. And then I can just heat them all up again. Press them down as I go along, and that should stay in place. If they don't, they don't. It's not the end of the world, but it's nice to have it looking at least somewhat factory, right? So there we go. That is good to go. Beautiful. Let's make sure she turns on. We should be able to connect up to the capture card because it's got HDCP enabled, disabled, sorry. I do have a slight issue in that I need to get the disc out of this one, so I'll just plug them in elsewhere, and then I'll just pop that in there. Beautiful. And nope. Okay, so it does pick up a disc, but it needs to update the firmware to 4.73 to run this specific disc. So I'm not going to be doing that. If I put that in again, yeah, so it doesn't work with this firmware version. So this is one of the issues that we have to deal with when we've got an older firmware version. Obviously, I don't want to update it because 3.11 is a lot rarer than 4.73. So yeah, I'm not going to be updating it just to verify that the disc works. I know the disc drive is working, it's reading the disc, so shouldn't have an issue with it. Perfect. That console is now fully done. It does need a clean on the outside, but I don't want to use isopropyl alcohol because it leaves white staining, so I'll soapy water and stuff it later on, and I'll give it a full service. But yeah, I'm going to get on to the next one. I need to work on the other fat one now, so I'm going to shut this down. There we go. So that's shutting down, and one problem I've got is I am running out of time right now, so I'm going to pause the video for now, and I am going to get some other stuff done because I've got other work I need to get done, and that is on a time limit, so I am running out of time now. I've got 2 hours to get that work done, so I'll pick this video up later on tonight. So unfortunately, this is a part of a really popular video, a really good video, where something always goes wrong, because that's just Murphy's Law. Unfortunately, right here, my audio decided to cut out. I'm having a few problems lately, and unfortunately the audio is just unusable. So we're going to have to deal with a bit of a time lapse on this. But the deal with this second PlayStation is just to clean everything out, make sure that everything's nice and clean. On this one, we did have some surface rust and corrosion again, just like the other one. Signs that it's been outside, you know, it's been sat for a while. And unfortunately there's not really a lot I can do because I don't have any replacement heat sinks. But a little bit of surface rust isn't going to hurt as long as we've cleaned out the console fully, and as long as there's no dust and things, and as long as there's no loose rust falling off and things like that. So same situation as before, just clean everything out, except on this occasion I've replaced the thermal pads as well, because on these first revision PlayStation 4s the thermal pads were grey, and once they get old they get brittle and you can't really reuse them. So I'll replace all of the thermal pads with some brand new ones. They're 1x1 thermal pads. I do sell them on my online store, shameless shill. Fresh thermal paste, and then pop everything back together. In terms of the disk drive, I cleaned out the disk drive fully, and the disk drive rollers, they were in need of replacement, so I replaced those with some brand new ones to make sure that the disk drive works perfectly fine. I didn't do anything with the laser because I didn't feel like it was necessary. There wasn't that much dust inside it, and it was just a little bit around the edges, so I left the laser but just replaced it with some brand new rollers, and then just put everything back together and reassembled the console. But I'm going to stop waffling, enjoy this little time lapse of the PlayStation 4. And one other thing to note as well, I don't have any replacement screws, so unfortunately I can't do much with that, and I'm going to have to wait until I get some screws. And another thing as well, the disk drive eject button, the metal spring that transfers the capacitance from your finger to the touch sensor, unfortunately I just couldn't get it straight, and I couldn't get the eject button to work. So for now, until I get a replacement case for it, it's just going to have to sit as it is, and it's going to have to sit without the disk drive ejecting. But this is an exploitable console, and the disk drive will probably never be used anyway. So happy days, winner winner.
Take your time to complete. I ain't wanna rock star. I can't be the one for you, but you let me wait here. I'm impatient, but I take it. I know you know that I won't be fine. Let me fix your scars. Just one call. Tell me that you're innocent, while all your clothes are falling off right now. Okay, your body tastes of cinnamon. Now you want me to turn you upside down. Baby, I finally know what it really feels like. Wow. Tell me you want it just as much as me, baby. I won't be fine. Your scars, just one call. Oh my God, girl, I'd be down if you were there. Daddy can hide away inside. You want that, baby? I can read your mind. Let me to give it a try. You want that, baby? I'm destined for life. You want me to stare into your eyes. On your thighs, let me to have you at a night. You want that, baby? I'm destined for life.
There we go. I'm very, very sorry about the audio at the end there. I'm having to re-record this outro. It's actually the next day now. And yeah, what can I do? I mean, I can't just go back. None of these videos are scripted or anything like that. So unfortunately, I'll just have to deal with it. That freaking cupboard's annoying. I'll just have to deal with it, and unfortunately I had to do a bit of a voiceover. But as you saw there, the other two consoles were serviced and they both worked absolutely fine. I didn't have any screws for the one PlayStation 4 Fat, and unfortunately there's nothing I can do about that. And also the eject button still isn't working because it needs a replacement base. The metal spring that's on the bottom of the base, it's pretty much knackered. It's bent to a point where I just can't get it straight, and I can't get it to make contact with the sensor. So I'll replace that at a later date, but other than that, you know, I just need to reassemble it with a new case and some replacement screws, and it'll be good to go, and happy days on that. The PS4 Slim, that one, I kept leaving things out. I was really tired. It was like 1, 2 a.m. Yeah, I kept leaving things out and having to take it back apart and put it back together and stuff like that, which is really annoying, but it is what it is. But it is absolutely amazing what you find on the scrap, or what you find thrown out. It's amazing what gets thrown out and what it gets thrown out for. The fact that someone threw out a console that is, well, it must have been sat in someone's loft or something, or someone's cupboard for years and years, because I've done a little bit of research since I worked on these yesterday, and apparently version 3.11 was released in around 2015, 2016. So yeah, that's nearly 10 years that this has been sat and not been updated for, and probably not been used since, which is absolutely unbelievable. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm probably, honestly, going to keep all three of these because they're all on an exploitable firmware. And I've got a PS4 Slim, which is on the latest firmware, and I've also got a PS4 Pro, which is on the latest firmware. Probably going to give this friend of mine a PS4 Pro, to be honest, because he doesn't care about the firmware, and he already knows, and I've already made it clear that if I found any on low firmware, I was keeping them, right? Because I just can't justify him updating them to the latest firmware and ruining them. So yeah, he's already well aware of that. I'm not doing anything wrong here. You know, I've made him well aware of the situation and stuff like that. So I'll give him the best console I possibly can, and I'll probably throw 1 terabyte SSD in it as well, just so as it's, you know, worth a bit more, first of all, and also so as it runs smoother and it runs faster. But yeah, anyway, that's going to be it for now. Thank you very much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and again, I'm sorry about the audio. Not a lot I can do there. Let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. Did you expect to see one on version 3.11? Because I certainly didn't. Yeah, leave me a comment. I do always read comments. I don't always get to reply. I am busy, but I do always read every single comment. If you do need to organise a repair, you can get in touch at thecody.repair, and if you need any parts and supplies for these, you can get those from my online store, consolefix.shop. But with that being said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, give the video a thumbs up, all of that jazz, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.